Morning, glory, America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. It's Hugh Hewitt. Greetings to all my 400 affiliates. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, good morning to you. On Instagram, on Facebook, I think you're still watching even after yesterday's conversation with Mark Zuckerberg. It was friendly. It was fun. I'm joined by Lieutenant General David Deptula, Dean of the Mitchell Institute for Aerospace Studies. Good morning, General. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Hugh. I'm doing fine today. How about yourself?
Good. I want to start with an off-the-wall question. One I asked Mark Zuckerberg yesterday. I'm just testing it out on a few people. Did you play Risk as a boy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm coming to correlate the young men who play Risk with ambition. Now, I've got no brief with ambition because Alexander said it's the highest fame is the highest ambition of the noblest minds. But Risk seems to be a concurrent. It has occurred in Zuckerberg, senators, congressmen, generals. I just think Risk is a indicator of something.
How about yourself? Did you
Oh
play the
yes, I
game?
was an obsessive Risk player. Absolutely.
Okay,
John.
well, I'm still looking for somebody to play. My family's kind of bailed out on me on Risk because I get too intense over the damn thing.
Oh, General, I kind of gave up after I skinned both my boys repeatedly, and having never, I would always get the younger one to side with me and then destroy the older one. And then once he began to figure that out, I stopped playing him because I wanted to retire undefeated. But I'd play you; that would be fun. General, look, we're laughing, but there are a couple of very serious things going on. First of all, nobody knows this, but Egypt and Ethiopia appear to be on the brink of armed conflict over a dam. Tell me what goes on in the Pentagon when two alleged allies of the United States are close to coming to blows over a dam that, if is filled, will affect the downstream waters in the Nile.
That's one that I personally don't have any insight into. But the underlying question is, what goes on inside the Pentagon? Well, first, this particular issue, number one, is a whole of government issue. And the first agency that comes to mind, our cabinet level organization, is the State Department. So what you would see is high level coordination ongoing between the leadership inside the Pentagon and the State Department to actually figure out just what are the underlying conditions. And then what you would see is the commander of the respective combatant command who has responsibility for that area, in this case the Africa commander, would be developing courses of action to take based on what the probable outcomes might be. So the combatant command there would be in constant touch with the senior leaders in the Pentagon as well as the State Department to figure out what's ground truth, finding out exactly what are the conditions that surround the conflict, the potential conflict, and then they develop courses of action accordingly.
Okay, now I'm giving you just information for inputs for hypotheticals. The headline is Ethiopia deploys missiles as Nile dispute with Egypt escalates. Both Egypt and Sudan have expressed strong opposition to Ethiopia unilaterally filling the Great Renaissance Dam. The plan is to begin filling it in July, and Egypt's armed forces have been put on the highest level of alert, and Ethiopia has responded. Now, if I understand correctly, and there's a good shot that I don't, Ethiopia is in Africa Command, but Egypt is in Central Command. Am I right about that?
Yes.
So what happens when the combatants involved in this dispute are straddling our division of the world?
Well, it's an interesting question. By the way, this is not new. In fact, during operation as far back as Operation Desert Storm, Turkey and the forces that were located in Turkey that were used against Saddam Hussein's regime were under European command's control, and the forces located in the Gulf region were under Central Command's region of control, and we were actually fighting a war with that theme. And what happens is, there are liaisons set up between the two commands. One becomes supported and one is supporting. So I don't know what the final arrangements would be. I would suspect, I don't even want to prognosticate on that one because I don't know who would be supported versus supporting. But that theme is pretty much taken care of in that context. One command is supported, the other one's supporting, and you've got one person in charge.
All right, so now I want to switch completely to Iraq and to the scene of Iran's ballistic missile attack on the United States base at Al-Assad. I had a chance this week to talk with a veteran of that conflict who was there before and after the attack, had been evacuated when the missiles hit. They did a lot of damage, and the ballistic missiles are big deals. How competent are the Iranians as they begin to threaten our fleet in and around the Arab Gulf? How competent are they at targeting their missiles? Because it seems like they hit pretty doggone exactly where they intended to hit. They didn't really want to kill any Americans. They came close to doing so by mistake. But did they? Some Americans were injured, according to Purple Heart citations that are public. What did that tell you about their capacity?
Well, it tells me that there's an increasing capacity to become increasingly accurate as technology explodes across and around the globe. It's not necessary, although competency has a lot to do with it, so does the proliferation of advanced technologies. And it also harkens for the importance of ballistic missile defense, which you've quietly seen being moved into Iraq to protect locations where U.S. forces operate. And this is a subject area that is going to garner more and more attention as we see events like what you described, Iran launching ballistic missiles at locations where U.S. forces are deployed. Competency has a piece to do with it. You don't have the most competent military, but oftentimes technology erases that disadvantage, and that is an issue that we need to pay more and more attention to.
Okay, last question. Bad week at Elgin Air Force Base. An F-35 crashed, an F-22 crashed. That's a lot of money. Both pilots are safe, by the way. That's why I talk about the money. Thank goodness.
Right.
Both pilots are safe. What do you infer from that, General Deptula, when you lose a 35 and a 22? Those are both high-end aircrafts.
Yeah, they are. But if you look at the statistics, when was the last time that we lost an F-22? Or when was the last time we lost an F-35? Flying, in particularly combat flying, is a highly dangerous activity. And so, because we have made it look easy, if you will, relatively easy, people have come to expect the kinds of safety statistics that one might see in the airlines. But the fact of the matter is these airplanes don't just fly from point A to point B with putting no stress on the aircraft. These are highly complex aircraft that go through a variety of different kinds of maneuvers. In the case of the F-22, the preliminary indications is that there was some sort of an error that occurred inside the aircraft control computer, or a glitch that happened. And as long as you're flying electromagnetic systems like this, you're going to have challenges and errors and breakdowns that ultimately sometimes result in the loss of an aircraft.
Is there an NTSB equivalent in the Pentagon that descends upon a crash site and just reverse engineers it until it knows exactly what happened?
Absolutely, Hugh. This is a part of what happens inside. It's not the Pentagon, it's the Air Force itself. Initiates an Air Force safety investigation, and they go out there. These are individuals that are trained in aircraft forensics, if you will, to find out exactly what happened.
All right, last question. The TR, thank goodness, is back at sea, according to Politico this morning. How long till their pilots get back up to speed, General?
That depends upon what they were doing, and you have to forgive me. I don't know what they were doing during the interim when the TR was disengaged. They could have been operating to maintain proficiency out of Anderson Air Force Base. I just don't know. So that's one you'll have to ask your Department of the Navy friends.
I will do that, General. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I love getting smart takes on obscure stuff like Ethiopia and Egypt on the brink of war from General David Deptula.